It's my three loves, right? Soccer, art, and human rights.
I mean, when does it end?
It does not. We get just the
We
most,
should put a revolving door on the front door at this point.
Only the most illustrious of guests.
Seriously, bro.
as they
If
say.
you've got talent, please come do this show because we don't.
we need all the help we can get.
Yes.
But we are joined by an incredibly talented artist.
The athlete artist, might I add. And what actually brought this person to my attention was a beautiful painting of Emil Smith Rowe. And I was like, how do I?
Get a painting of myself.
How do I, one, get this painting in my house? And two, how do I Photoshop my face on Emil Smith Rowe? But this is, I mean, beautiful. Once you see this, you start to see people that do something exceptional, but decide to do it in the world that we're in, right? We're comedians. We decided to start a podcast because we thought this will add some levity to soccer. This person is adding art into a world that's quite brutal, but has art in it. Carlin Jackson, everybody.
Carly, what's up? Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, this is really cool. And I just want to make sure we... thank you for bringing this artwork.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that if you're looking at this on YouTube or you're watching this,
it looks like a photo of your grandfather.
It looks like there's a photo of just me and a family member. But no, this is an incredible painting of the legendary Pelé. And
so Christian gets this a lot. There's a lot of people that are somewhere like in between Latino or like some type of, what is the Pacific Asian?
Okay, yeah.
African. There's a group of, anything along the equator. Christian typically goes, oh, I thought you were that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of athletes. Like, what was it? Tiger Woods was a big one.
Tiger Woods.
Alex Rodriguez.
Nani, the Portuguese
Nani, the Portuguese
player.
Brazilian. Portuguese.
He's Portuguese, yes. But yeah, but no, this is incredible. And you do...
what I was going to say is you could just paint him and then put a different badge. And there's like 80 players who could say, look, I painted a picture of you.
No one be...
I don't think anyone would notice, bro.
Colorism.
So let's, getting into not just being an artist, but focusing on painting footballers. What's the origin story? How'd you get into it?
Ooh. This is a heartbreaker. You ready?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I actually started as a human rights artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And the first painting I ever did, oil painting, was in 2014. And it was of Rodrigo Kelton. He was a murdered street child from Brazil, from Fortaleza in Brazil.
Wow.
I got chosen as a volunteer to work at the Street Child World Cup, which happens every 4 years out of the Men's World Cup in the same city.
I just, I don't mean to cut you off, but we met the Street Child United organization.
Nice.
We were at Soccer X.
At Soccer X.
And we were, everyone I met there were unbelievably kind and really nice. And I'm going to be staying in touch with them and hopefully, either going to some of these events or working with them in some capacity in the future. They were very, very cool.
No, I know. When I found out about them, that's my three loves, right? Soccer, art, and human rights. So I, was scheduled to go, and I was teaching at the time. I was a teacher prior to being an artist, and got an email from the Street Child World Cup saying the captain of Team Brazil, where it was hosted, was murdered on his 14th birthday. And I'm reading this email, and I mean, tears are streaming down my face. And he was, picked up off the streets at age 5. A lot of kids in Brazil, I think at the time, 18 are murdered every hour in 2014, 18 street children. And so he wanted to go home on his 14th birthday. He hadn't been home in like 10 years, and he wanted to see his mom and a girl. And he was feet from his mom's doorstep and shot, and then shot again. And his mom ran out and caught him. And his last words were, "Mama, please don't let me die."
Oh my goodness.
And
wow.
At the same age, at 15, I almost died from a health condition, anaphylaxis, so allergies to food, and it almost took my life. And soccer saved my life. If I didn't have a field to go to, I was trying out for the team right below national at the time. And if I didn't have a field to go to in between hospital visits, I wouldn't be here with you guys today. So it weirdly, like, I connected to this child, this young boy, on a really deep level, and how the love for football, motivated us to stay on the right path. And so I had this overwhelming feeling, kind of voice. I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person, but it was like getting louder and louder. I was like, paint him, paint him, paint him.
Yeah.
And so I brought a wet oil painting about this big to the airport. I was a broke teacher, and I took like 10 flights to get to Brazil. And I get to the airport, had to go through the US. The US customs agent is like, "What are you doing? You cannot bring a wet oil painting on like through customs on the plane. Now that I actually travel with art, I'm like, wow, was I naive? And I ended up telling him the story, and he was from Chile, and he started crying, and he just went, shh, keep going.
Wow.
And then on the first flight, the pilot was like,
where are we supposed to put this thing?
Mm-hmm.
So he moved his luggage, stored the painting. Next flight attendants moved their luggage, stored the painting. And then it created this movement. And I'm like, wait a second, there's something here, right? And this is when I learned about the power of art for social change. So I get to Brazil, and no one knows that I painted Rodrigo. They put it in the non-denominational chapel, which was on site, because we had 230 street children from 18 countries. And so the night Brazil gets there, these kids, I mean, they've never been on a plane. They've never been anywhere, right? Their stories are heartbreaking. And they arrive, we're cheering, we're going crazy, we're yelling, ole, 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 ole. And they walk past the chapel, and one of the kids saw Rodrigo through the like tiny, I don't even know how. There has to be some divine intervention there because, and this was another person explaining this to me because I was somewhere else. And then they walk out as I walk by, and then we just stop, and there are tears streaming down their face, and I just do this. Like, I'm the artist. And that moment, like, changed my life forever. And we don't speak the same language, but we spoke the same language. So for the next 3 weeks, I was with Team Brazil. They brought the painting to lunch, to dinner, to bed, to breakfast. We went to this heartbreaking site called Candelaria, where in the 1990s, off-duty police officers would round up street children and execute them.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was how. And so in Candelaria in Rio de Janeiro, there were 9 street children who were sleeping, and they just shot them as they slept. So we visited Candelaria, and I went with Team Brazil, and we brought the painting and had like a moment and celebrated Rodrigo's life. But it was just like, okay, this is my origin story. This is what you're gonna do for the rest of your life.
Sure. No, I can see how that would be incredibly impactful.
Much more of a calling.
Yeah.
No, I want to make people laugh. But it's crazy.
And it's interesting. Even I'm not being artists ourselves in our own capacity, but the community around the game is something that, before we started, we really didn't even exactly know how interested or impactful we could even be with just providing humor with around this game. And it does build a community, but this is, art, it definitely has a much more direct influence and impact. And that kind of a story is just like, it's one of those things. Like I remember when I first did stand-up and I heard my first laugh after telling a joke where I said, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
Usually how it works.
And I sort of sense that with you as well.
Yeah, no, it was like, but then I was like, who wants to buy sad paintings? So I was like, okay, in honor of Rodrigo and these kids, I have to, I wanted to use my art to, magnify their representation, to talk about injustice. And so I promised myself that I would do a few projects a year. So I've worked with War Child, Save the Children, World Vision. So every year I do a few projects with refugees, victims of child labor. And then I was like, how am I going to, pay for this?
Right,
so I started painting what I know, athletes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What made you make the decision for athletes?
Because I was looking, I'm like, okay, I love painting. I'm pretty good at it. I'm totally self-taught too. And not the self-taught who's like, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos. That's not real self-taught. I hate that. No, I'm real self-taught.
That's technically still self-taught, but you...
No. I'm for real self-taught. There's a whole hierarchy in the art world that I've learned about. It's really bad. They're like, you're a commercial artist. You didn't go to art school. I'm like, I make doctor money. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was like, what do
That's a flex.
What do I know? I know sports.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-athlete, former D1 soccer player. And so there was no woman painting sports. It was kind of all old guys. And I'm like, okay, there's a place for me here. And so my first professional sports portrait was for Amir Johnson on the Toronto Raptors. The goal was to get to football, though, because I'm like, I could get back to what I love. I got to go to the World Cup. I got to do stuff. And so Jonathan Mensah was my first soccer player, Black Stars, Stars MLS, and he's an amazing human. I was like, okay, if I can paint a guy that everybody kind of knows internationally, hopefully it'll hook a few Premier League players. Then I got in the Premier League, and it was a wrap. I was like going crazy. And when I painted for Emil a few years ago, this was a really cool story. He said, okay, I got the moment. Usually athletes will follow me and they'll be like, okay, I love your work, but I don't have the moment yet. Just give me time. I'm like, got it. Got you. Sometimes I'll even find the moment, and then I'm like, this one, they'll be, let's do it,
Yeah.
And so I painted his first goal for Arsenal. And I happened to be going to England like the week I finished it. I'm like, Emil, I'll just bring him with me. He's like, okay. So we get to his house and bring the painting in, and he starts to get kind of emotional. And he goes, I didn't tell you this, but you painted the best moment of my life.
Oh, my goodness,
Yeah.
Emil, come back to Arsenal.
I know.
Wait, I missed you, dog.
Right?
Yo, Colin, you're gonna make me cry, bro. I'm an Everton fan too. This is crazy.
No skin in the game.
But
I got nothing but skin in the game.
when you are painting players, does the gate agent and when you have the wet oil painting, are they
If customs agent was a Tottenham fan, you might not get through.
You know what happens though? FedEx is my shipper, and I have my own manager because of my clientele.
Yeah.
They actually just did a feature story on our relationship. She's awesome, and she's like for some reason in some countries in Europe, because they ship everywhere, they won't deliver to the person's house. So then I have to say who it is. They're like, we got it, done, done.
Yeah.
It's there. Don't worry about it. They'll be like, you have to pick it up here. I say who it is. They're like, no, we got you.
Wait, they won't deliver to the person's house.
It's weird. I don't know. Yeah.
How's that? That's what delivery is.
No, I know, but like there's I don't know how it works, but in some countries it's just,
I never think you'd
there's
have
like
to
a
do
depot you have to pick it up at.
Do you know who I am? To
right?
to the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
No, this is this is really cool. And I'm sure.
But do they order this? Like, did Emil order this? Like the
I
size and everything?
Yeah, so I only work for athletes, so that's why I'm the athlete artist. I'm an ex-athlete. I paint athletes for athletes, so it's a triple entendre. So I don't usually work with agents too. I prefer to work directly with athletes. So like right now at the moment, I'm working on 10 portraits for NFL, MLB, MLS. We got Edward Mendy painting for him in Saudi Arabia. Like everybody. So
That's wild.
No, I mean, so in general, I mean, I'm sure you get this question a lot, but like, what are some of the more notable ones where you were like, I can't believe I'm painting this person,
or I can't believe this person hit me up and wants me to paint them.
Yeah.
There's one I can't say right now because it's going to be delivered soon, but it's a quarterback in the NFL, and his agency ordered it, and it's really sweet.
Okay.
Are you going to ship it directly to his Mahomes? I mean,
Not him. Not him.
Okay. I'm gonna paint Aaron Rodgers getting the vaccine. Yeah.
It's just a blank canvas.
It's inspiring me right now.
I would say the portrait I did for Adidas. I painted the World Cup family portrait for Adidas in their family reunion commercial. If you guys saw that, it was the most watched commercial in Adidas history. 2.7 billion.
I don't know if I saw it. Maybe I'm not remembering
it's up, it. I think up a little.
Is it? We'll look for it. But this is that's pretty cool. I mean, you went to the last World Cup, or
I painted at it. So I got to paint in Qatar, which was absolutely insane.
And what does that entail? They'll tell you what to paint, or do you get sort of creative freedom?
So this is wild. The World Cup has never done anything like live painting before.
Yeah.
And so Qatar, I had been battling with them for years. I'm like, guys, I gotta come. I gotta do this. I was just determined. And then like 10 days before the semis, they're like, can you paint people like live? Like how fast can you paint? So I developed this new speed painting technique to do in stadiums and outside stadiums.
Self-taught?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Self-taught.
You didn't see one video?
and they were like, okay, we'll test it out. So I did a semifinal, the first semifinal, and they're like, like, can I swear on you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
They're like, shit, you're good at this. Do you want to do the final? And I was like, do you want to do the next semifinal, like France, Morocco, And then I was like, what? And so I painted Achraf Hakimi and Mbappe for that semifinal. And I know Achraf, so I was texting him. I'm like, bro, I'm outside painting you. And it was insane. It was just, so cool. I had like 2,000 fans taking photos of it, asking questions. I was on such a high. I got to go to a World Cup, which was my dream, but like in a completely different capacity. And I'm the first artist in history to paint a World Cup. And as a woman, this is like, you have no idea what I deal with. Like you probably have a general idea, but it can be a nightmare. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of hurdles.
I'm sure the comment section is lovely. And a lot of
super respectful people.
We work in comedy. We have a lot of obviously female comedian friends, and the comment sections of their posts are absurd. So.
Can you give me an insight into what makes speed painting happen? How does that?
Yeah, so there's three main mediums of paints: kind of watercolor, oil, and acrylic. Yeah. Oil takes forever to dry, as we know with Rodrigo's wet painting that it took. Acrylic dries in like 5 minutes, and so I developed a technique where I paint the faces quick with acrylic, let it dry, and then overlay with oil so you get that kind of depth and dimension in like 3 hours, which is insane. Other artists are like, you're crazy.
Right.
I'm like, I know.
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible. I mean, and was this also a speed painting thing as well that we're looking at right now?
And I just tried to paint a player off of each team kind of thing, and they just loved it. The fans ate it up at the World Cup. So.
Right.
No, this is remarkable.
Also, you're really good at painting fades. That's crazy. It's hard to paint a fade. I could see it.
Yeah, Carlin, you want to be my barber?
Yeah,
I think you can do a good job too.
Can you do speed fading?
The one thing that's interesting is you saying about how they asked you, can you paint live but people can see your work, and they say it's always interesting when they invite you somewhere and they see you actually working, and then they're like, hey, you're really good.
Yeah,
it's like, well, I got like a decade of work. Right.
I was Have you not looked at my portfolio?
You could have just seen my work. And that tends to happen with us from time to time, where like people know we're stand-up comedians, and then until they actually see us perform, they're like, "Oh, you guys are actually funny." And it's like, well, you hear all the jokes online.
Yeah.
Why would you think we were not?
We emceed the Premier League Fan Fest. That was like one of the first things where like a lot of Premier League players that were around or former Premier League players like heard from us other than clips they've seen. And people would come up to us and go, "Well, you guys are actually like really funny." It's like, how did you think we got this gig? Like, how do you think we've been around for so long? Or we get wow, you're real comedians. Yeah.
My equivalent would be like, "Do you do art for promotion?" I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
I did a piece for Jamie Foxx, and you want a free painting? Like,
yeah, of course.
You don't want the publicity, Carling?
Right?
But look, you were at the Olympics as well.
Yes, I was Team USA's artist.
So this
beautiful.
Your resume is crazy.
Stealing the Canadian artist. Let's go.
But you were watching a video of you. Is this giving a painting? Or
So I brought these prints of Muhammad Ali, who's my favorite athlete of all time, and I saw Flavor Flav, and I was like, "I'll just give him one." And then he went crazy and called one of Muhammad Ali's daughters, and we had a moment.
Come on!
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, how do you not just weep and cry at all?
He got really emotional.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Have you ever been to Muhammad Ali Museum in Louisville?
I have. I'm doing something with them.
I just went for the first time.
Isn't it unreal?
Legitimately changes your life.
I know.
If it doesn't, you didn't pay attention.
And he was an artist, and his dad was an artist.
Come on, the red bike?
Yeah. Oh no, I know, right?
Stop it. This is the most Flavor Flav moment.
Watch this picture.
This is big unk energy in Flavor Flav. Like, hey, I just ran into a lady that just took a painting of your father.
Steve says he knows you.
Nah, this is so cool. I mean, I'm sure you have dozens of these moments. Are there any more in particular that really...
Or like, what's like the coolest person you've met because of your art?
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. Yeah, that's.
He has a new show coming out December 10th. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
He told me actually the background of it. It's pretty crazy, but he is the most creative person I have ever met in my life. Like, he sang, created a song, did a comedy set, and acted out an entire movie when I was at his house for one day. And I literally was just awed. And I'm around crazy amount of creative people, and I was completely blown away. No,
I mean, Jamie Foxx, and we've seen this throughout the years as someone who I think doesn't necessarily get the flowers that he deserves, because I was introduced to him through In Living Color and in comedy.
Comedy was how I first knew of him.
Exactly. And then when he's singing, and then and as a musician, he's an unbelievably talented musician that barely anybody ever really talks about, and who's had like real hits. And just to be, it's annoying that somebody is that good at so many things and at such a high level. So that's a really cool.
And he still looks so young.
Oh, I know. I was shocked. You want to know? Do you guys know how he started doing comedy?
How?
This was such a cool story. So he was in grade school, and I think it was grade 3. He started. His grandma was a teacher, and so he grew up, and he's like visceral for knowledge. Like, he knows, he just soaks it up. So he kind of knew everything in school. He was bored all the time and kind of messed around. And so his teacher was like, Jamie, and he's like, okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal. I'm going to help you with all the kids. I'm going to be your kind of assistant in class if you let me do stand-up comedy every Friday. The last 15 minutes of class. And she said, deal. And that's how he started. And I thought that was beautiful.
There's like 3 or 4 comedians that started this way. I got hit in school.
You can't. Jokes, it wasn't a space to just have fun and make jokes or make fun of people.
No.
So that's pretty remarkable.
Well, I'm so glad that they got that opportunity.
Yeah, I was terrified to do comedy before I did it. Like it took years of just convincing myself to even try it. So
I was
mean,
always the one trying to get jokes off in class. That was me all
Yeah,
day.
I-
But
I
I was never encouraged.
yeah, I was that
very
too.
much discouraged.
I made the jokes as well, but I did not. I was
Oh,
like,
no?
I got to get on stage.
I'd
People
get in
gotta-
trouble too. I'd say things loud, like good callbacks and stuff that happened before, and the teacher would be like, "You're not helping." You know? Maybe that's what I was missing. He said I'd help the kids.
Well, look, it worked out.
It all worked out. Yeah, me and Jamie were equals.
No, this is cool. I mean, look, just scrolling through your Instagram is just
While you scroll
that
through
was
that,
that was, you see the Olympics moment there, the Woodhalls right there.
right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that you guys know this moment, right? Where Tara
Yeah.
won the gold and she ran to Hunter. So I really wanted to paint this for them, but I didn't know them personally. So I just like looked through my following list. I'm like, okay, mutual. Ask them if they want a painting, and they're like, yes. And so I painted this, and I'm painting Noah Lyles right now too. His moment when he won the 100 meters.
yeah.
So that was really cool after being Team USA's artist. So
Yeah.
That's really
I'm
cool.
gonna start DMing random athletes and being like, yo, you want me to write some roast jokes about
or
you?
be like,
Yeah,
you want me to get Carling to make a painting for you?
No, this is really, really cool. I mean, and I really appreciate not only the obviously your incredible work, but the stories behind them, and really the thing that propelled you to become an artist in this particular way is I think is very, very impactful and emotional and sincere. So no, this is like a really cool thing. I really appreciate you coming by and
Absolutely.
talking a little bit about it.
Before we let you go, though, like, what's the one dream get?
the dream get
Yeah.
the
Is it
World
Mr.
Cup,
Beast?
the World Cup and the Olympics were on my list, but I already did those in the first like 10 years of painting. So that's pretty crazy. So my next one, it's kind of like an overarching goal. So I want to legitimize sports art in the art world, because right now, if you go into most galleries, they'll just laugh at you. Whereas when you
Gotcha.
look at that, I'm using Renaissance techniques that I taught myself reading the old journals of master artists. to
Reading, not watching.
to replicate, like I want to legitimize sports art.
Can you give me like an idea of what a Renaissance technique is?
So if you look, you see in the light, you start with it's called fat to lean. So you start with
So Alexis the Christian.
you start with like a heavy oil base with oil paint, and then
Yeah.
you layer thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner layers. That's why they say when you go see the Mona Lisa, it feels like she's following you. It's because the light pierces through the layers, and you get this extreme depth. And so no one really does that with sports
I
art.
thought she was following me because she liked what she saw.
Damn. I see that smirk, girl.
So I'm doing actually my first museum, the Paris Art Museum, for the World Cup, and
Hey.
I'm working with Pele's family and Theresa Tran, and we're gonna do. I'm gonna paint 7 to 8 of the best footballers in history, and it's gonna be called The Beautiful Game. So for the
That's
World Cup.
awesome.
I
Yeah,
love
so that's a huge breakthrough, like in the art world for me. So
Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
I mean, obviously well deserved. No, this is incredible.
It's huge.
So, yeah. So,
I can't believe we get to have this on our show. even for a
and
little bit.
Brazil just got one of my paintings.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I painted Bobby Moore and Pele, and it was in a little sports gallery, like makeshift gallery in Miami, pop-up gallery. And they invited the ambassadors from like Argentina, Brazil, etc. And they're like, "Can we have this one?" And that's like a huge honor. So yeah, it's going to be in the embassy in Brazil.
That's so
Brazil's
cool.
I mean, your contact list it's not only
crazy.
just athletes, but it's like
Yeah,
politicians.
do you want to be our show booker by any chance?
You know some
Yeah,
people.
we'll have the premiere of China, and then we'll have Flavor Flav on
Hey,
the show.
call Ashraf Hakimi right now.
Yeah. Yo, FaceTime. What's that video,
Just
Ashraf?
the way Favor Flav called
Yeah.
one of Muhammad Ali's daughters.
I know all of them too.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Okay, cool. Well, all right.
Damn.
We'll be reaching out soon.
Yeah.
Carling, where can obviously people follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram's my main platform.
Carling Jackson at Carling Jackson Art. Go show some
We
love
are already
and support.
following her. I don't know why our website does this.
This is always this is like a weird glitch on the browser on Instagram. We follow you already, and it says that we don't. We have this embarrassing moment every time with every guest that we have.
Everybody.
Where
People will comment sometimes like, "Why aren't you following her if you're on your show?" We're like, "We are."
look,
dog."
we're on there anyway. So go follow
Gaslighting.
Yeah.
Carling Jackson Art to see some of the rest of her incredible work. Carling, thank you so much for joining us. Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
This is huge.
Yeah.